hear how slow that is? I got a story to tell you about that. So, you saw me work on that clock this weekend. I hung it on the wall after it had run overnight, no problems. And then when I hung it on the wall and would go by later in the day, it would stop. It'd run for maybe an hour, and then I would go up there and it would be stopped again. So I'd get it going and it would run. I couldn't see why. That evening, I looked at it a little closer, and the pendulum leader wire was rubbing on the very back of the case. So when it was in the test stand wasn't level from front to back. It was leaning forward just enough that the pendulum leader wire wasn't rubbing. But when it's on the wall and it was leaning up straight, it was rubbing against the back of the hole that they had cut out for the pendulum leader wire. And so I tried to just kind of move everything forward. I did it upstairs on the bed with not very good lighting and no tools, and ended up pushing the lift wires for the one bird that wasn't moving before. They got moved forward a little bit, so they're not stopping and stuck, but they're rubbing just enough that it's making the cuckoo go really slow. So I've got to get back in there. It's very tight space from the back of the movement to the back of the where the pendulum needs to swing. There's not very much room, so it's tiny little adjustments. So I've got to take it back down off the wall and get those things where they're moving freely again. Now I'm level left to right, but if I turn this, put it on the post, let's see if I can get you to see that. See, the bubble is to the front. It should be, if I push down on it, that's the little bit of change that makes a difference in it running in the stand and not running on the wall. That's not much of a change. Maybe a quarter of an inch. So if your clock runs for a little while and then stops, I'm suggesting you look at this leader wire. Right now it's not touching the back of the wood cutout, but when it's on the wall and level, it brings it back just a little bit where it wants to touch. So what I thought about, since this movement is that unusual V cutout at the top here, and these hang through little holes, I thought about moving this back one hole and getting this more to the middle, and that will give me more free space. So I'm going to do that first, but I've got to turn the camera off because all you're going to see is my hands in the way. Alright, this is on the next set of holes back, and the pendulum leader wire is more in the middle of the cutout. Still in beat. I took my little wire bender and brought this one forward a little bit. It was rubbing, I think, on this center of this. So we're going to see if everything's moving freely. There's 1, 2, 3 wires that have to move freely on that one. And then this whole set back here has to move freely. And nothing's got to rub. I'm sorry about the gnat there. Alright, let's see what it wants to do. Doesn't sound like it's in beat anymore. Spending more time over there, so I want to bend it more to that side. I'm bending the crutch wire back behind the leader wire. That sounds more even. Alright, so I'm pushing down on the front to get my little bubble front to back level. And let's see how it does. You can see where these two eye hooks pass each other. They're catching on each other a little bit. So I've got to check my gap between these two right there. If that one goes back, that gets it close to the teeth on the black lift wheel. It's just a very tight little space, very tight. Let me try a couple more little adjustments. Made a little bit more minor adjustments. I brought this lift wire more towards me so that it would not be wanting to push on the little eye hook for the other lift lever back here. They're right next to each other. They have to pass each other with all these wires. It doesn't take a lot of room, a millimeter or so of gap. So let's see. Turned it the wrong direction. Nothing is rubbing that I can tell. Except possibly the foot touching this. Alright, let's see how good the bird's moving on the front. I'm still checking the wire placement, so I took the little access panel off the side here so I could see if any wires were rubbing each other with it level, kind of leaning like it would be on the wall. And I want you to watch this wire right here. Can you see that? Probably not. Let's get this up a little higher and down in there more. Where is it? Okay, there we are. Okay, let's see. This little wire right here. That is the bird lift wire for the high note side, the right hand side, looking from the back of the case, left hand side from the front of the case. And this is the lift arm for the bellow on the left hand side. So this is still rubbing on this when I activate the movement. So I'm going to have to bend this little guy forward a little bit more. You see how tight it is, how little bit of room there is between that wire and that wire. Lift wires for the bellows, and then this wire coming off of it is coming up in the same area, and the bird movement wire is coming toward the foot of the crutch. So a lot of little tweaking. One more test. I think everything's sliding past each other. I don't see anything rubbing or hanging up, so I think I'm going to be happy with that. That's about as straight as I can get everything. I would like for the leader wire to be hanging more in the center of this foot, but there's no way to get the foot back any further without it hitting more stuff back there. So I'm holding this as level as I can. I've got to adjust my hands again. It's got the little nut inside where I can adjust and get it going off at the right time. Alright, little birdie seems to be moving good as much as the other one is, so I guess we are ready to put it on the wall again and try again. Sometimes it's a lot of trial and error with these. With the more moving parts they have, it definitely makes it a lot harder, especially when it's a small case. The small cases are a lot harder to work on. I went from small case to the antique Cuckoo clocks because they have a huge case, and so you can learn about adjusting wires and getting things where they're not hitting right on those, and then work your way down to these tiny little boxes, which are hard to work on if you have big hands. These little tools help. This is a little wire bending tool. You can make one from a screwdriver. You don't have to buy one. Those came in a set of 3, I think. The other one's around here somewhere right there, with 3 different sizes of ends on them. But you can also just take a regular straight slot screwdriver, cut a notch in it for bending, put a notch on the side for bending, so that when you're reaching in you can torque things this way or this way. So good luck, y'all. I hope your clock's working better than mine have been. Hope this video helped. Thanks for watching.